Hello, my name is Francisca French, and I am the Economic Development, Diversity, and Procurement Coordinator for the City of Rockford. And I would like to thank you for viewing our Business First webinar on food trucks. In today's webinar, our partners from the Winnebago County Health Department, Rockford Fire Department, Four Rivers Sanitation, SBDC, and myself will all speak to you on the requirements to operate a food truck within the City of Rockford. Please feel free to reach out to any of us with questions or concerns that you may have. Our contact information is presented at each end of each partner's section of this presentation. Please enjoy.
Hi, welcome. I am Heather Kelly. I am a business consultant with the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Rockford Chamber, otherwise known as Rockford SBDC. The Rockford SBDC provides no-cost guidance and training to small businesses in Winnebago, Boone, Ogle, and Stevenson counties in Illinois in the areas of marketing, accounting, business planning, and IT. And so with that, I will introduce Shelby Flores. Shelby is also a business consultant with Rockford SBDC, and she's going to start you off on our presentation. Take it away, Shelby.
Perfect. Oh, it's not allowing me to. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
All right. So part of what the SBDC does is help build a business plan. This is incredibly important, especially when you are obtaining financing for your food truck businesses. Every business plan has several major elements. This slide will cover a business description, products and services, market and customer segments, and competitors and market players in the industry. A business description is essentially a summary of what your food truck does, what you sell, what kind of food you are giving to consumers. Some things to highlight in this section is, history of your food truck or the mission and purpose of your food truck, potential vision that you have for it, or values and beliefs that you have. Typically what I see with food trucks is, family recipes that have been passed down, or a lot of it is more so cultural. So this is really your ability to explain why you would like to start this food truck and what it means to you. Products and services is pretty self-explanatory. The products is the type of food that you'll plan to sell for your food truck. And then market and customer segment is, it's a group of customers sharing similar characteristics in terms of interest, locations, and more. The four most common are demographic, psychographic, behavioral, and geographic. I think geographic is, the one that we are highlighting the most, simply because we are focusing in the Winnebago County. And then our last one is for competitors and market players. So it's other businesses who offer the same or similar goods, anyone within the food truck industry. It's very important for us to analyze the strengths and weaknesses of your competition. Very recently, the food truck industry is very popular, especially in the Rockford area. So knowing who you're up against is important. Next is organization and management of your food truck. Who is working for you? Do you have part-time employees, full-time employees? Who's in charge of the cooking? Who's in charge of the advertising? Who's in charge of, selling? So it more so describes the organization and the key members of your food truck. Financial projections and metrics is arguably one of the most important ones. So it includes a projected sales forecast, a profit and loss, your cash flow projections, and your balance sheet. These are basic documentation that every bank is going to require. Obviously, a food truck is a big investment. And so understanding your projections, especially your first 3 to 6 months worth of fixed expenses is important, and then as well as your projections for the first 3 years. In your financial projections, you want to highlight the amount needed to successfully launch your food truck. And you're basically just providing an overview of how the funding that you are asking for is going to be used in your day-to-day operations and in the truck itself. And then the last portion of a business plan is going to highlight, additional information that highlights specific elements of your truck, anything that provides business credibility or the success of your truck. In this section, some people will often include pictures of the truck that they are most interested, or their menu and what they plan to sell. So this gives you a little bit more ability to just provide any backup information that a banker, lender, or grantor may be interested in. Now I'm going to allow Heather to kind of expand on identifying a selling location.
Thanks, Shelby. As Shelby mentioned, in part of the business plan, you're looking, when you're identifying a selling location, you really want to go through the steps specifically that she mentioned of the market segment. And we are definitely talking about geography here. Take a look at where you want to be. What territory can you realistically cover? Taking into account all of your expenses, any employees that you have. So all of those factors will play into your selling location. And also your competitors. Where are your competitors? This is where you need to take the time to take a look at, even if it's driving around town, asking people, doing that sort of research. Where are you seeing food trucks? You can post it on social media and, have people tag you, where they are and who they're seeing. What food trucks are they seeing? Another consideration is, what product are you offering? What differentiates you from the food trucks, say at Mississippi Gardens every Tuesday? And that is also a good place to do your market research. Why not walk around, talk to people, and figure out what they like and why they come and attend. That's a really high visibility area. Other considerations: is the space large enough? Is the food truck you're looking at large enough? And I will add that, prior to purchasing a food truck, it's imperative that you go through this business plan with us, with Shelby. Is there enough foot traffic? The example I gave was Mississippi Gardens on Tuesdays. High foot traffic. And that's a great place to be if you have a food truck. But also consider places around town that may be underserved, that you could really own that market. And think about, the types of clients that you want to serve. What types is your food going to appeal to these types of clients? Do you want to be in the downtown area when, people are out walking about downtown during the week and they're looking for a food truck? A lot of people like to walk on the bike path. So things like that, being where people are, lots of foot traffic with that too, bike paths and things like that. And so options to consider, as I mentioned, food truck parks. There are lots around here, the biggest one being Mississippi. Farmers markets, there is, of course, City Market in Rockford and North End Market, and also Beloit, although I don't know that you want to get into another state, but that's also an option for your food truck business. Different business districts like 7th Street District, downtown, gas stations. A lot of times you'll see food trucks at, gas stations, highly traveled places. I've seen them at Forest Plaza on East State Street. There seem to be a couple that have semi-permanent locations there. So think creatively about owners that you could approach to be in their parking lots. That's another high traffic area. Festivals and special events that are going on around town. There's a lot of them in Rockford, Anderson Gardens, Mississippi Park, the band shell, lots of places like that. And of course, as I mentioned, different plazas. And we'll go over a little bit how to be better than or different from your competition. As I mentioned earlier, you really want to figure out what your product is going to be, and is it something that's going to match with your budget? How easy is it to create? Do you need a commissary beforehand? All those considerations. And this is where it's important to take time to do a little research. Attend some of these festivals before you decide, and really figure out what people are looking for. Look around at the food trucks. Is there something missing? Is there a niche that can be filled? And because you don't want to be selling, tacos when everybody else is selling tacos. I know it's very popular right now. But that's the temptation. And there are definitely, I think, some needs that could be filled there. And, do you want to create a unique buyer's experience? It's a little bit difficult when you have a huge line going for a food truck, but really pay attention to what other people are doing. Sometimes people play music that really speaks to their brand. If they've got a vintage looking food truck, then they may have some vintage music playing, that sort of thing. And then of course you want to pay attention to pricing. What are people charging for their products and services versus what you might charge for your products and services? And again, that also goes back to your budget and your expenses. So taking a look at all of these factors is really important and key, and really goes back to establishing a good, solid business plan before you move forward.
I also quickly just want to add that in terms of customer relations with food trucks, I think developing a relationship, or kind of, noticing your regular customers, taking their feedback into consideration, is all very important. That's that extra value that people see. As Heather mentioned, there's tons of food trucks in the Forest Plaza, but there's one specifically who every time I've gone, he greets me by name. He knows exactly what my order is. And, that relationship is kind of what keeps me going back. And he's, not selling anything different. He's selling tacos actually, but I will always go to his taco truck as opposed to the competitors, because he's taken the time to develop a relationship with me personally. And so customer relations is very huge, and ultimately what can kind of set you apart from everyone else in the market as well. Now, in terms of how to apply as a business, it obviously can vary from state to state, even city to city. But typically this list can, get you to where you need to be to operate. And so you obviously need a business license, a employee identification number, and then you'll have to work with the health department and the building department, as well as get approval from the fire department and the local sanitary district to ensure that your truck is in order and meets all of the requirements. And then the employee health permit is more so, again, kind of with the health department, as well as zoning and parking will kind of fall under building 2. So some of these are kind of hand in hand, but they give you a general idea of what you need in order to be fully functional. And then you can obtain a business license online, by mail, or in person. And I've actually listed off a few links that would be beneficial for people to have to apply and obtain those necessary, licenses, registration, permits. So this quick little list will allow you to go to these websites and either do your research or apply online. And lastly, this is our team. Heather and myself, obviously, but we also have a wonderful group of men that backs the SBDC. As you can see, we, cover all of our bases, and Heather mentioned this earlier, but we do business planning, HR management, digital marketing, financial analysis and access to capital, as well as cybersecurity and emergency technologies. So in terms of business segments, we do have you covered at the SBDC, and with food trucks specifically, again, they're very popular. So we have worked with several, and we have a team that is eager to help.
Thank you.
Oh.
And if you would like to contact us, we are at rockfordsbdc.org or 815-316-4301. Thank you.
Hello, I am Michael Wood with the Winnebago County Health Department. I'll be going over the plan review procedures for mobile units. As defined in the Winnebago County Code, a mobile food unit is a vehicle-mounted food service establishment, push cart, or any other type of unit designed to be readily movable. Terms include trailer-mounted kitchens, food trucks, corn carts, etc. Anyone providing food to the public in Winnebago County must have a permit issued to them by the Winnebago County Health Department. A permit is a document issued by the regulatory authority that authorizes a person to operate a food establishment. There are 3 types of licenses available for mobile food units. A special event license, which is limited to a fixed location for a period of 6 calendar days within a prescribed 6-month period. A temporary event license, which is limited to a fixed location for a period of 26 calendar days within a prescribed 6-month period. An annual food and beverage license, which is not limited to a fixed location and not limited to a number of calendar days. This presentation will be going over the annual food and beverage license plan review. Fees for the licenses vary depending on the risk level of the establishment. All annually permitted mobile food units are required to operate in conjunction with a licensed commissary to clean equipment, prepare food, fill the water tank, empty the wastewater tank, and store product. A licensed commissary is a commercial kitchen licensed by a local health department. It is an approved place in which food, containers, supplies, single-service articles, or single-use articles are kept, handled, prepared, packaged, or stored for off-site service. The commissary sharing agreement must be submitted with the plan review application. If the commissary is located outside of Winnebago County, a copy of the current food license and most recent inspection report must be submitted. Your home can't be a licensed commissary. Mobile units can only be permitted as Category 3 or Category 2 food establishments. Cooling of potentially hazardous foods is not permitted in the mobile unit. These processes must take place in a licensed commissary. A separate high-risk food and beverage permit will be issued to the vendor for this kitchen if the potentially hazardous foods are cooled in the licensed shared kitchen. Mobile food units must have a source of power to operate cooking equipment, pumps, and refrigeration units. Only single-use articles such as to-go containers, paper plates, and plastic utensils may be provided for use by the consumer. All food must be from an approved source. A certified food protection manager must be present at the mobile unit at all times. All other employees must have approved food handler training. All required certified food protection managers must complete additional allergen awareness training. An employee illness policy, employee illness agreement forms, and cleanup kits for vomit fecal events must be provided. All plumbing must meet plumbing code and be done by a licensed plumber. If non-prepackaged food is served from the mobile unit, hand washing sinks are required and must be conveniently and easily accessible to all food handlers. If non-prepackaged food is served from the mobile unit, a 3-compartment sink is required for utensil washing. Drain boards are required on both sides of the 3-compartment sink. The water heater must be sized to provide adequate hot water to all sinks. All surfaces must be non-absorbent, smooth, and easily cleanable. Enough refrigeration or freezer units must be available to keep food items at 41 degrees Fahrenheit or less at all times. Enough hot holding equipment must be available to maintain hot foods at 135 degrees Fahrenheit or above at all times. Walls, floors, and ceilings must meet Illinois Food Code requirements, and all lighting must be shielded. All mobile food units must be completely enclosed. Doors and windows must protect against the entrance of pests. Doors must be self-closing. Windows must be screened with a material that is 16 mesh to the inch or finer. Food service windows must also protect against the entrance of pests by means of sliding windows, screening, air curtains, or other means. The potable water supply must come from the licensed commissary. The mobile food unit must have a potable water system under pressure. The water system must be of sufficient capacity to furnish enough hot and cold water for food preparation, utensil cleaning, sanitizing, and hand washing. A food-grade hose must be used to fill the water tank. The mobile food unit must have a wastewater retention tank that is at least 15% larger than the water supply tank. The waste connection shall be located lower than the water inlet connection to prevent contamination of the potable water system. The wastewater retention tank must be thoroughly flushed and drained during servicing. All liquid waste must be discharged to a sanitary sewage disposal system at the licensed commissary. A plan review application can be found at the Winnebago County Health Department website, which is www.wchd.org. On the left of the homepage, you'll see a button called Forms. If you click that button, you'll be brought to another page with a link to environmental health forms. Go ahead and click that link, and you'll be brought to the page with all of the environmental health documents and applications. For a mobile unit plan review, you still use the food and beverage establishment plan review application. Information required with a plan review application is a scaled layout of the interior of the mobile unit, including all sinks, cooking equipment, hot holding equipment, cold holding equipment, etc. Specification sheets for all the equipment listed above, volume of the fresh water tank and volume of the wastewater tank, specification sheets for the water heater, a plumber's sign-off sheet, and a water heater calculation sheet, specifications on the floors, walls, and ceilings, a self-closing door and air curtains or screens for windows, photos of the interior and exterior of the mobile unit if it exists, the menu, and commissary information. The plans will be reviewed only after all the above required documents and fees have been submitted. An incomplete plan review application packet will delay the approval process. All plan review applications and any additional information or revisions will be reviewed in the order in which they are received. If the mobile unit is already constructed, the mobile unit can be brought to the health department for a scheduled on-site evaluation after the plan review application and documents have been submitted. At this time, you should also provide the plans of your mobile unit to the local fire department for review. The Winnebago County Health Department will not issue a food and beverage permit until an approval from the local fire department is obtained. If the plan needs to be changed, the vendor will resubmit the plans with the required changes. The plan will be re-reviewed for approval, and approval will be provided if the plans meet the food code requirements. Construction, if needed, of the mobile unit may begin after approval from the health department. You must notify the department for approval should a change be made during construction. Contact the health department for a preliminary inspection once the mobile unit is constructed. A preliminary inspection will provide a report listing items that require correction. Correct the items listed on the preliminary inspection report. Apply and pay for an annual food and beverage permit. Provide an approval from the local fire department. And then contact the Winnebago County Health Department for a final inspection once the above items are completed.
Hi, my name is Chris Tumio, City of Rockford Fire Department. I've been an inspector with the Rockford Fire Department since 2012. I've been with the Rockford Fire Department for 16 to 17 years now. Thank you for coming and learning a little bit about food truck safety, and then also what the fire department's requirements are for food trucks within the city of Rockford. The webinar that we're doing today is not enough to really cover everything on food truck safety. However, we included a packet for you to download, has some great information from the National Fire Protection Agency, and then also the requirements the Rockford Fire Department has in regards to food trucks. I'll try to cover some of the requirements today. However, at the end of the slides, we do have contact information for you to call us, ask us the questions that you have, and then also set up inspections for your food trucks. The food truck industry has exploded over the years, and with that explosion of the industry came with an increase in fires and explosions, actual explosions, that caused injury and death within throughout the United States. Now, with this, of course, became some more regulation, and then also some safety recommendations that have been placed out to the public. The important thing here is that we're trying to work with the community to ensure that of a successful business, and then also a safe and enjoyable day. The pictures that you see here, the one on the upper left, that's actually a fire that occurred here a few years ago in Rockford. The food truck that was actually out on East State Street. Luckily nobody was hurt in this situation, but our fire trucks are, our station's only a few blocks away. And by the time we got there, the truck was fully involved in fire and it was a complete loss. So this will just give you an understanding of how quick fires do grow in these vehicles. Now, common causes of fires in these vehicles and these trailers is equipment malfunctions and unsafe operations. The propane systems and vehicle systems and incorrect conversions, they all relate to those two items, though, the equipment malfunctions and the unsafe operations. But we're going to try to cover as much as we can in all those in this short session. So equipment malfunctions, when I talk about equipment malfunctions, I'm talking about the equipment, cooking equipment itself. The causes, be lack of proper maintenance and training. That kind of goes together, because a lot of times these vehicles are being purchased from a third party, and you don't have the direct training from the authorized dealer of this equipment. So you don't know what maintenance is required. You don't know you haven't got full training on the operation of this equipment, and then also you don't know how to troubleshoot if something is happening with those. So if you do purchase from a third party, I do recommend that you have somebody that's qualified to work on cooking equipment or commercial cooking equipment, to come in, look at them, make sure they're installed properly, and then also to give you some training on it. And then also you can set up a maintenance plan with them so that you're getting regular maintenance on this equipment. And then additionally, they can look, to see if you get somebody from, the areas that you're going to be operating the most, they also kind of have an idea what the code and regulation is for these. And then also we want to remember this equipment, you can't have it on wheels. It's got to be installed so it doesn't move around, and then also tethered so that it doesn't shift while you're transporting the vehicle. With the vehicle systems, the propane systems, the suppression systems, and then also the actual vehicle systems itself, the engine, the tires, everything like that, we have to make sure we're following the proper maintenance on these, that we're getting our annual inspections of our suppression systems. That includes your fire extinguishers too, which you'll require to have a K-type and an EBC type fire extinguisher. And then also you're getting a proper inspections for your propane system. Your propane system, by DOT regulations, you have to have it serviced and maintenance, or I'm sorry, inspected by a DOT approved inspector once a year. If you come into Rockford and you come for your annual inspection from us to get permitted to operate in Rockford, we're going to ask for a certification from your DOT inspection before we're going to give you a permit. And then additionally, they can look at things that you know, may be wrong with the system and get ahead of any leaks or anything like that. Then with the vehicle itself, you don't want it to break down. You want to make sure that you have a good, successful season. So prior to the start of your season, you should get it into a shop, have them do their preventative maintenance on it, and do a complimentary inspection, get ahead of any problems that you may see. With this on this slide here, I circled a gas valve that was installed. This is an emergency gas valve from a suppressor system, and then also the gas line that was installed right where your feet are going to be at when you're cooking. This was a bad install. This was actually a company that takes trucks and converts them into food trucks, and they're doing this on a regular basis. This is not acceptable by DOT regulations because the systems have to be protected, and they would definitely not be allowed to operate in Rockford with this type of setup. So you purchase something like this and you go ahead and get the truck, and you get out and you get inspected by one of us, and we say, no, this can't be. You may be spending a lot of money to get this repiped in a situation so that you can't operate this truck. So make sure prior to purchasing any vehicle that you have somebody that is qualified to inspect these type of systems come in and look at it and see if it's been installed correctly, so that you can negotiate that into your purchase or have them repair it before your purchase. It's almost like purchasing a house. You want to have somebody come in and look at these systems. So you want to also know if there's any recalls on the vehicle itself. So you want to make sure you're researching that. So operations, the list that you can download that's provided with the webinar, it has operating requirements for the city of Rockford. It has also NFPA documents that kind of give you recommendations on safe operations. In this picture is a Portland fire where it appears that they had tried to fill a generator or something that was running, and the fumes from the gasoline ignited. You can see here where the gas can is actually sitting on fire, you know, so the person obviously was able to escape and set the gas can down. However, catastrophic situation for the operator of this truck, because not only did they have the loss of their business, but now they have the litigation requirements of all the vehicles that were damaged in this situation. So City of Rockford requirements, don't have enough time here to go through that entire list, but I wanted to touch onto parking and setup. You definitely want to be 10 feet away from other vehicles, other tents, other structures. And then you want to make sure that you wheel chalk your wheels. Even I know our list says if it has a trailer, but you want to do it with a truck also. You know, make sure that if the parking system fails, that your truck doesn't start rolling into someone. Then your generators, if it's not installed into the truck as part of the original installation in an approved cabinet, you want to make sure that it's 10 feet away from your vehicle. That way, if something goes wrong with the generator, it doesn't propagate into your vehicle or somebody else's vehicle. The generator's never filled while it's running, and also when you're filling it, you want to have your ABC fire extinguisher, your dry powder fire extinguisher nearby in case something does happen. You can extinguish the fire quickly. Your electrical systems in your truck, you want those installed by a qualified electrician. And don't try to install those yourself. You're going to be pulling a lot of power from these electrical systems. So you don't want to have a fire related to electrical system. Training, City of Rockford requires that you have one person on site trained in the emergency operations of your propane system and your equipment and your vehicle. And then also you want to train all your staff on emergency responses, have proper emergency contact information so that if something does happen, they know what they're doing. And this also includes medical emergencies of your staff and then also your customers. You want to make sure that they're trained and able to respond to those situations. The cooking suppression system and the hoods and the propane system all has to be inspected every year, and you have to make sure that you provide that documentation when you come to be inspected by the City of Rockford inspector. Because if we don't see that documentation, we're not going to approve your truck permit. And then also you have to have carbon monoxide detection inside of your truck. And then starting in 2022, you're going to be required to have leak detection for a leak detection of your gas system in your truck or your trailer. That's if you don't have that in place, then you're not going to be able to get a permit in City of Rockford. And that's going to be a national requirement. So you might as well go ahead and get that leak detection in there. Those can be picked up a lot of RV centers, stuff like that. So go ahead and get that leak detection in there. Propane safety. Propane's a really dangerous thing when it builds up and it ignites. There's been many situations where a trailer or a truck has exploded because of a leak on the propane or CNG or natural gas system. So we want to make sure, that's why it's so important to have those checked every year. And then we want to make sure that we're not storing them inside the vehicle. There's at least if they're stored inside the vehicle, they have to be inside cabinets that are designed for that. No more than 200 gallon capacity in the vehicle. And then if you're storing propane on site, they can't be, when you're set up, you can't have them inside the vehicle. They have to be away from the vehicle, protected from weather, and protected from public tampering. And then again, like I said, you have to have a trained employee on site. If you don't, and we show up for a random inspection, we can shut down your operation until you get somebody there that's qualified, or trained. Like I said, I wasn't able to get all the information out in this short session, but if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. We're here downtown. You can stop by if you need to and speak to one of us. It's best that you can call us and set up an appointment or arrangement with that, and then go ahead and set up your inspections through these same contact information. Again, thank you for your time, and I hope you have a successful business, and we look forward to seeing you out there. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Montana with the Four Rivers Sanitation Authority, formerly the Rock River Water Reclamation District, and I am the engineering permit clerk. First, I want to thank the City of Rockford for incorporating us into their food truck webinar presentation. Today, I'm just going to speak a little bit about who we are, what we do, and how we may be involved with the food truck mobile aspect. So first, I have a quick agenda. I am just going to cover a brief agency overview, our pre-treatment program, FOG program, and waste maintenance and disposal. So as a brief overview, the Four Rivers Sanitation Authority, formerly the Rock River Water Reclamation District, was organized under the Sanitary Act of 1917. We opened for wastewater treatment in 1932, and we provide services to and permit facilities within not only Rockford, Loves Park, McChesney Park, Cherry Valley, the village of Winnebago, New Milford, Roscoe, and portions of Rockton. Our service area covers approximately 100 square miles, and we are IEPA mandated, so we have a set of rules and regulations that we follow per state requirements. So our pre-treatment program, it's a federally approved program. It's the Clean Water Act of 1972 that protects and preserves public health and our environment. We do monitor all commercial and industrial users' discharge. As you can see the photo to the left, we have an employee there that is doing regular sampling at a facility. We do enforce federal discharge standards and local limits. Issuance of over 900 general discharge permits for food service related facilities, and these are for brick and mortar stores. So FOG, Fats, Oils, Greases program. Four Rivers is committed to the proactive management of the public sanitary sewer collection system. It's for this reason that the FOG program was established. And really it all starts with all of us, utilizing best management practices and mitigating grease, keeping it from coming down the drain. That directly, eliminates the fog or the fats, oils, greases in our sewer system. We do require the installation and maintenance of grease control device, which would be a grease interceptor or trap, which I'll cover here in the next few slides. And that is essential in keeping the collection system up and running, flowing safe, for making effective a treatment process here on our end down at the treatment plant. And really, again, we need your help in keeping our community clean to prevent unwanted harm to our environment. So really, it starts with the user. So our biggest concern, fats, oils, greases. So in this picture, this appears to be a service lateral that has had quite a bit of fats, oils, greases discharged from wherever it was coming from. It's hard to say the exact root cause, or whether they didn't, the facility didn't have best management practices in place. Maybe they didn't have an interceptor. Maybe they were dumping, fats, oils, greases down a drain that they shouldn't have been dumping it down. So common types of grease-producing foods, and not everybody is aware that these actually make a pretty big impact on our system. And really, it's all the little bit here, a little bit there. Really, it all adds up. So dairy products, baked goods, frostings, spreads, butters, egg-based products, pulp-based products, deli meat, so utensils, the cleaning of Cambro containers, things of that nature. So grease interceptors, traps. Typical fixtures required to be connected to a grease interceptor trap include, but are not limited to, multi-compartment sinks, prep, veggie, dump sinks, and pre-rinse sinks. The photo to the right there, the first photo is a larger scale grease interceptor. The other photo to the right, that is an interior grease trap, which is typically installed within the kitchen area of the facility, the kitchen or the commissary. So at the bottom here, just because you have a grease interceptor trap does not mean that you can discard cooking fats, oils, greases, etc. down the drain. So I'll talk a little bit about the disposal of those and best practices, but really those should not go down the drain at all. It's understandable if maybe you have some residual grease in a pot or a pan. That's what that interceptor is made for. It's not made to discharge anything like that directly down the drain. And I'll follow up with this a little bit at the end, but you should have a grease dumpster or a licensed grease hauler that would take that grease away. Or the other option is you let it harden and you dispose of it in the regular trash. So best management practices, these are just a little bit of overview and tools to control. On the left here, you can see, improved kitchen BMPs, best management practices, and what they kind of lead to. So obviously putting less grease down the drain, you can clearly see the benefits there on the right. Increased cleaning and maintenance. It all depends on the type of facility. If it's a heavier grease-producing facility, the cleaning intervals are going to be a lot more frequent. Overall compliance with FOG control program. So really, we look at aspects overall. We look at the type of facility, what they're producing, and then we cater to each facility on their recommended cleaning schedules. They provide all that data to us just so we can ensure that everything in regards to the interceptor, the trap, is working appropriately. So commissary requirements. Any food truck vendor within the boundaries of Four Rivers must be appropriately permitted through a licensed commissary or kitchen of their own, or Four Rivers must receive a signed letter for the permittee's approval to utilize someone else's kitchen, acknowledging the assumption of liability for any hindrance caused by fat, oil, or grease violations. So disposal of greasy waste, as I kind of covered or mentioned earlier, all fog must be disposed of properly in accordance with Four Rivers ordinance requirements. The greasy waste must be disposed of through an appropriate method, grease dumpster, grease hauler, etc. We highly advise against discarding any type of cooking, oil, fats, greases down the drain. And doing so could result in unwanted backups, cleaning costs, and or fines. So if you saw in the earlier picture of the pipe with the greasy waste, those are things that can happen. And if it does get into the public sanitary sewer system, there's cleaning involved with that, which per ordinance we can actually pass those costs on to the property owner from which that stemmed from. But typically it'll start to back up on the private side. So, you may have a landlord, tenant, renter situation where it could get quite messy. So it's best just to follow those best management practices and discard that grease appropriately. So, and protecting our watershed, so we're 100% committed to protecting the biosphere around us. Our watershed makes up the Rock, Kishwaukee, Pecatonic, and Sugar Rivers. We have approximately 1,100 miles of sanitary sewer main that we maintain, and we try to, have our best management practices in place, per our ordinance requirements, things like the grease interceptor, grease trap. We closely watch those just to ensure that the collection system, the treatment plant, those processes aren't hindered by any type of fats, oils, greases. So for more information, please visit our website, fourrivers.illinois.gov. I want to thank the City of Rockford for inviting us again. And, if anybody has any questions in regard to the mobile aspect, kind of what I covered here, I can certainly answer those. Otherwise, too, it is a lot more in-depth and involved as far as a quote-unquote brick-and-mortar location, but there's a permitting process for that. So if you're not sure, I would just encourage you to reach out to me. And thank you again.
Welcome to the City of Rockford's presentation on food trucks. This section will include requirements and regulations that you should know when operating a food truck within the City of Rockford. Please keep in mind that this information is specific to the City of Rockford, and although they may be in close proximity, rules may be different for surrounding areas. Before setting up shop, you should know where you are allowed to operate. When operating a food truck, you may operate in commercially zoned areas where you are also given allowance by the owner of that space. When operating within the right-of-way, you must have a food vending permit. You may not operate curbside within a residential area. Operating in a park is only allowed during events with a Rockford Park District certificate. To obtain a Park District certificate, you must have all required licenses from the Winnebago County Health Department, a certificate of insurance with the Rockford Park District as an additional insured rider, and a permit from the Winnebago County Health Department is also required. What is needed for that permit was explained earlier in this webinar. Where your food truck is allowed to park is very important to know so that you may plan ahead when parking your vehicle overnight. When overnight parking, your truck or trailer must be parked in an enclosed garage or an allowable lot. If you decide to park in a lot, be sure that you have permission from the owner, or you may be ticketed or towed. Overnight or long-term parking in your residential driveway is prohibited. As previously mentioned, applications for a food truck service permit can be obtained either on the City of Rockford website, or you may pick up a physical application on the 6th floor of City Hall in the Public Works Department. You can find the application on the City of Rockford website by following the following steps. Type food vending permit into the search bar on the right of the screen. Click on Forms and Applications. Under Other Applications, click on Food Vending Permit Application. A fillable PDF will open for you to complete and bring in to submit. Requirements for a food vending permit are similar to those required for the Winnebago County Health Department. You may be able to use the same documents for similar requirements with both entities. For the City of Rockford, you will need a description of how the vending cart or table will be supervised or maintained, a description or photo of the vending cart or table, a plat or drawing indicating to scale the amount of surface the applicant is seeking permission to use, and the location of furniture, equipment, and other articles occupying public space. A description of the items offered for sale is also required, as well as a statement by the applicant that says the applicant will, in consideration of being issued a permit for the use of the surface space, agree to hold harmless the city and the officers and employees of the city for any loss or damages that may arise out of the use. You can obtain a permit for 3 increments of time: 1 month, 4 days, or 1 day. The price of the permit is $130 for the 1 month permit, $85 for the 4 day permit, or $38 for the 1 day permit. If at any time the city determines these guidelines have been violated, we reserve the right to revoke the permit immediately. A link below shows the direct link to the permit application. As you may be already familiar with exhaust hood systems in commercial food spaces, similar exhaust systems are required for food trucks. All food trucks must follow the fire department requirements, which were presented during their selection of this presentation. A food truck exhaust hood and propane system must be inspected and approved by the City of Rockford. Appointments for inspections can be made at City Hall. For all businesses within the City of Rockford that sell food and beverages, Metro taxes are required. The same applies for food trucks. To avoid fines, tax forms must be filled and paid by the last day of the month following the month that you began reporting sales. That means if you began reporting sales in January, you must file and pay taxes that follow in February and each month after that. The application to register for Metro taxes is available on the City of Rockford's website. The link is provided below, or you may find it by searching Metro taxes in the search bar on the City of Rockford's website. Thank you for watching this webinar. Please feel free to reach out to me or any of the others with questions that you may have. You can email me at francisca.french@rockfordil.gov or give me a call at 779-348-7419, or with any of our partners who provided their contact information within this webinar. Please keep all of these things in mind when planning to operate your food truck to ensure that it is in compliance with the requirements of each entity. We wish you much success in your endeavor and happy food trucking.